Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the hospital. Sunny for a change, I can say, London. My name is Phil Moore. I'm the UK Sales Manager for Palm Treo Limited. We're here today to discuss the Palm Treo Pro smartphone. So without further ado, Palm's been for a number of years now a dual vendor platform. We have produced and distributed Palm OS devices as well as Windows mobile devices. Over the past year, we've done exceptionally well globally on the Palm Treo. You may have seen we recently announced that we have globally shipped over 2 million devices on that particular model. That uses Palm OS. Obviously, most of you will have heard that there is a new Palm OS launching next year in 2009. We're not here to discuss that, so that's all I want to say on that particular device. What we are here to discuss is the Palm Treo Pro and Windows Mobile, which, as you see, centres from our point of view on enterprise, corporate and high-end consumer marketing. What we're after, in a nutshell, is EMEA. The growth in smartphones in the US is going to be pretty extortionate. They're seeing the kind of percentage increases you can see there. Across EMEA, we're looking to increase smartphones in the next 4 years by 39%. So there's a massive market opportunity for all of us out there. Palm Treo Pro is designed and will appeal to, ideally, high-end consumers and corporate and enterprise users. These are guys and girls who are looking to boost their productivity, both personally and for their corporation that they work for. And we're also looking to target and appeal to IT infrastructure directors so that they can mobilise their workforce. This product's going to allow IT managers to simplify their infrastructure. When we get onto the device presentation later from the two gentlemen that are here from Palm and Microsoft, you will see exactly how we can actually reduce cost as well by taking out such things as bed servers, etc. It's going to satisfy the busy professional, people like myself, want a workhorse of a phone during the day, all week, and then something that they can actually utilise themselves during the weekend. There it is, Palm Treo Pro. It runs Windows Mobile 6.1 Professional Edition. It's our sleekest, slimmest phone to date. It's only 13.5 millimetres thick. It's got a fully functioned touch screen and it's flush. The software built in means that you're not going to press it when you're on the phone or anything daft like that. It works very intuitively. It's got the usual raft of Palm shortcuts built in as well. You've got single access, single key press into your Wi-Fi, single key press into your email, etc., which you'll see when we get onto the product in a bit. And for a first, for Palm, we've integrated Wi-Fi and GPS into the device. We've never bothered to look at this before because we wanted to make sure when we did it, we got it right. And I think you'll see when you see with the product demonstration in a minute that the actual integration of both the Wi-Fi and the GPS is very, very usable and makes it very simple for any end user to get the most from the device. It's a high-speed device, HSDPA, UMTS, it's quad-band as well, it's a full, true global work phone. And very simply, it's uncomplicated, it's designed to make people's life easier, both from a work and a personal point of view, and drive productivity. Availability-wise, we're going to have, and you may have seen, we will announce an unlocked version. It will be available in the US, in Europe, and in Asia Pacific. We've got a compelling argument with the global unlocked device. It means that most corporates can take it and connect it to whichever network that they see fit. It gives more control, more choice to the end users and to the end corporate customers, and it's going to simplify their international roaming by pricing charges. From a UK and Europe point of view, we have two strategic partners here in the UK and Ireland. We've got Vodafone, and they will be launching the device both in UK and Ireland. We've also got O2 launching the device in UK and Ireland. Both partners have been with us right from the outset of the Microsoft partnership, both of them launching the 750 and the 500. Currently, the Palm Treo Pro will be from free on Vodafone, and you'll be able to buy that in about 150 Vodafone stores, as well as all of the usual online and corporate sectors. and in O2 it'll be available from their business and corporate sectors. At that, I'm going to hand over to John Walker, who's our EMEA Product Marketing Manager, so that he can talk you through the device. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for taking some time out coming down to see us. Some of you will know me, some of you won't. I'll just give you a bit of background about myself. John Walker, Palm Product Marketing Manager. I've been in Palm for a good long time now, as some of you will well know. So, as far as my knowledge and background on this, I hope it lives up to your expectation. Treo Pro. Thanks very much for going through the initial stages there, Phil. That's very useful. Some interesting things for you regarding the actual product. I'm going to go through them in step by step. We'll have a Q&A at the end of this session, so there'll be plenty of opportunity to discuss any questions you may want to raise, and there'll be a breakout session at the end. So Palm, let's give you some background. Palm has always been about, and still is, about making the customer or end user experience as easy as possible. That has always been one of our mantras. What we've done, particularly with the Treo Pro, is try to leverage that and continue and build upon that. So we've added some simple features. Some of them were retained from previous devices. An example of that would probably be the ringer switch on the top. Very simple, but very useful. You find a number of other devices out there that also implemented such things. We have on the side of the device, on the right-hand side, we've got a hotkey, which immediately fires up Wi-Fi. If the Wi-Fi is not being used, it'll power down, but I'll get onto a bit more detail about that. And we've added some other enhancements, but let me go through them with you. Before I actually get into the specifics of them, we'll talk a little bit around what we've laid on here. Now, one of the questions that has been raised to me recently was, does it get more and more challenging to come up with differentiating ideas for our devices over and above what our competition will do? Does it get any more demanding? Well, it's always been demanding. And does it get any more demanding? No, it doesn't, because it's always been a difficult and challenging thing to do. It's not necessarily something that you need to introduce a raft of changes in the device. I think if you find a device that has 3 or 4 things that enhance it and is good for your life, then you're doing pretty well out of it. It's a difficult, challenging thing that we always face on a constant basis, but I think we've come up with a few new ones this time, and hopefully you'll agree with us. One of the easiest ones one of the standout ones from my standpoint is the ease of PC setup. We try to make it as simple as possible, but in this instance there's no CD required, and I'll take you through the steps of that later on. We've added some Palm shortcuts, so basically another mantra of ours is to try and get to anything you need on a device within 3 presses of the device, so we're not really looking to try and drill down into something and then have to come all the way back out again to move on to the next item. Hopefully 3 presses should take you from one item to the next, and so on. We've always tried to be about that and try to think of the user at all times. We've added a really powerful battery on board to give you ample battery life. Certainly 5 hours of talk time is available to you, and that's when you've got your push email going and you're perhaps browsing and generally reviewing data on the device. It's the slimmest and thinnest Treo to date, as Phil touched on, 13.5mm stick. As I say, it's a global phone, so it's a quad-band radio, but it's also a tri-band UMTS. We also have HSDPA on board, 3.2. Inbuilt Wi-Fi, we've got B and G is supported. Plus there's also GPS on board. So we've got GPS and assisted GPS, but there's GPS on board. Push email talks about that. And we can also, obviously, because we're running Windows Mobile Professional, we can handle native attachments, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, plus also we can handle PDF and zip files. I'm sure you're all pretty familiar with that kind of stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the GPS and Wi-Fi capabilities on board. So the device itself, as I said, has got an inbuilt GPS on board the device. It comes, in this instance, in the generic variant, it comes with a 14-day trial of the Webraska off-board GPS solution. Some of you which may be familiar with. When you do get your devices to trial with, you'll get an opportunity to play with that and use it. It's very effective. It comes with full European maps, so any user who gets one of these devices will get a 14-day trial of that and access anywhere across Europe. It also gives other ability to use your contacts to search for a particular address, find that contact, route you a direction, and off you go. Wi-Fi, I touched on that earlier. We've added a hotkey to the right-hand side of the device that basically will fire up the Wi-Fi and do an instant search for any access points that are in the area. You can then associate the device and have a partnership with the SSID, and you've got a connection. Now, subsequently, if you're in a similar area and you want to re-establish a connection, then you merely hit that button again, and it'll give you a list of what's available to you, particularly if you've partnered on something, and you can just select from that drop down and make that connection, and off you go. The other benefits around that is if the Wi-Fi connection is not being used, it'll drop that connection. So it'll allow you to stay on while the screen's staying on, so if you're browsing and using the device, away you go and you're fine. But at the moment that you're not using it for a period of time, to save battery life, it'll drop that connection. The moment you fire the device back up again, i.e. you enlighten the screen back up again, it'll ask you if you want to re-establish that connection. But what we're trying to do there is optimise usage and make it as simple as possible while retaining the best of battery life. PC setup, this is my most favourite of what we've actually managed to achieve on this device. Now, while you were sitting out having a coffee prior to coming in, you may have noticed in the other room, and I can't imagine that none of you did, we managed to fire it off because we didn't want you all stampeding in there to try and pick up on one of these. You'll get an opportunity to do that afterwards. But we've got a new packaging, a new box, which I'm going to talk to you about in detail. But one fundamental thing that you'll instantly notice is that isn't exactly the size of a CD would hold. Okay? There isn't some addition that you're going to get later on that will hand you a separate CD. There is no CD with the product. This is something we spend a lot of time. It's a Windows mobile device. We've got Alex Reeves here later on today to talk to you about from a Microsoft standpoint, but we're running a Microsoft OS. Now, you may be aware that most Microsoft products to date have always had to ship with their ActiveSync CD along with the product. It's part of the deal. You've got to have your ActiveSync with it. What we wanted to do is to try and minimise the size of the packaging, and that presented a challenge about what we would do with the CD. We also wanted to make it an easier user experience. So what you get today, the Treo Pro, is you'll take your device, and in a lot of instances, the user will not necessarily want to connect it to a PC. They'll use it as a standalone device, they'll get their push email, it'll connect directly to the server, giving them all their contacts, all their calendar appointments and all their emails, and away they go. And in the majority of cases, that may be as far as the device goes, as far as connecting it to something. It's connected to the mobile phone network and back to your office infrastructure. If you want to connect it to your desktop, then you need desktop software to do that, hence the CD. Now, in a lot of instances, if we're travelling around, what we do with our mobile phones and our connected devices, do we carry a disk around with us? The likelihood is no. Okay, so we've come up with this solution. So what happens is you'll take your cable, you'll connect it to the PC, and you'll get presented with one of two screens, depending if you're running Vista in this instance or XP in this instance. And what it does, it'll interrogate the PC and find out if the PC has ActiveSync available on the PC. If it does, it will give you the opportunity straight away to do a synchronization. It also gives you an opportunity to download the user manual and to get some free trials of Outlook and some other further support information that you'll need. If it doesn't have ActiveSync installed on the PC, it'll also notify you of that, and providing your PC's networks, it'll give you the option to download it. So what the device is doing is essentially, when it's first connected, it's seen as a mass storage device, so a bit like a removable drive. That's how it's seen. You also get pop-up messages on the actual device itself, so if you happen not to be looking at your PC screen and were looking at your device when you connected it, you'll be referenced on the device what to do and approach your screen. Having downloaded and installed, or if you've already got it and you've created a sync, you ask the device to do that synchronization, and it changes the status of the device from a PC setup situation into a synchronized situation. So any subsequent synchronizations that you may want to do, so in other words, the next time you connect it to your PC, it'll automatically synchronize and you will not get presented with this. But what this also means is that wherever you travel, on whatever machine you might want to connect to, you always have the availability of the software with you. You don't need to carry that with you.
What about other operating systems?
What about other operating systems? We take that question at the end when we do a Q&A, but I can talk to you about that. In this instance, we're purely talking about a PC setup with a Windows mobile device and ActiveSync. Okay. Some other things that we've added to the device, again, to try and enhance the usability. A lot of devices that use this kind of form factor where you have a full QWERTY keyboard, the screen obviously is not permanently on. Now, if you wanted to check something like, for example, a missed call, or the time of day, or the date, or something simple like that, you're going to power that device on. In doing so, there's going to be a marginal, although maybe frequent, impact on battery, depending on how often you do that a day. So what we've done is we've changed the screen so that when the screen goes into a screensaver mode, it'll present you with a date and time on the device. It's really, I find it sounds like a minor thing, but when you actually get to use that and it's there, it's a very useful thing. Quick reference of sitting in a meeting, there's something visible to you on the screen at all times. It'll also tell you if you've missed a call, if a new text message has arrived, or some sort of message. It'll even tell you if your battery is getting low. Now this is from the generic device, this option is enabled by default, but if a user found no use for it or wanted to extend their battery life even further than it already exists, then the option is there for you to disable it. It's not a mandatory choice. Final thing that we've added on here is a beacon alert. It's another nice little touch, and again, if you happen to miss a call, you've got it on vibrate or something like that, and you've missed that call, you get a constant flashing. The ring around the device, the 5-way navigator that says Palm, will flash at you, okay, to give you a notification that a voicemail is waiting. This basically works on the premise of icon alert. So any of you are familiar with the mobile phone networks and use voicemail, there are 3 basic methods in which the network will notify you that a voicemail is present. One is to send you a text message, one is to actually call you, and the third option is icon alert, which is the tape discs with a line joining the two together. You may be familiar with. If your phone is set to that icon alert mode, then the beacon will flash every time someone leaves you a voicemail. Nice little touch, I think. The last thing I wanted to touch on was the actual box itself. You'll notice it's a lot smaller than any box that we've ever produced before. We hope when you get your devices and you open it up, you find the experience of the box in itself is something to marvel at, as well as the device. We spend a lot of time on the design of this, the way it's displayed, the way it stands, the sleeve that fits over the top of it. We've also used recyclable materials where we can. We've used soya-based inks on the device, toxic-free packaging, and we've minimised on all chlorine-free paper. It makes it I think, it draws your attention to it. It makes you want to have a touch and feel and even get inside that device. To accompany it, we've also brought in a range of accessories. The device itself comes with a stereo headset in the box, and there's a gentleman here that I've met on previous occasions who always asks me, why does our device have a 2.5mm headphone jack as opposed to a 3.5mm headphone jack? So we've listened to you guys, and we've put a 3.5mm generic headphone jack so you can use not just our headphones, but any other ones that you feel would be suitable. We also included a micro USB cable inside, and there's a different style of charger that we've included. So it's not just a generic charger with a cable on there, it's actually a wall charger with a USB connection that allows you to connect your USB cable to that and then onto your device. But arguably you could also use that charger to connect other USB type devices. In addition to that, as I said, we've brought out some accessories. So along the same sort of line, we've come out with the vehicle power charger. Is a cigar type charger, but we've left the end as a standard USB connector. So that means you can utilise the cable that comes in the box, although you do get a cable with the device, with the vehicle power charger when you purchase it. But it means you can also use that charger for other devices should you have them in your vehicle. We've accompanied it with cases, and we've also accompanied it with a nice desktop cradle, nice weighted desktop cradle. I don't believe we've got any examples to show you that today, but it may be possible. So from my summary of the device, that's pretty much it. I'm quite happy at the end, after Alex has had his session, to have a Q&A and a more informal chat with you all afterwards over a cup of coffee. I'd now like to introduce Alex Reed to you, Microsoft Mobile Communications for Europe.
Thank you. Nice to see you all. I think the first thing to say before I carry on the slides is just there used to be a time when devices either had everything in or looks good. And I think those times are now gone. I think as of today, I think this device, which comes with UMTS, full HSDPA speed networking, not many competitors can say that, comes with GPS built in, not many of our competitors can say that, comes with Windows Mobile 6.1, the very best, the very latest software, and it's pretty cool. I think it's, it's glossy, it's black, it looks good, it feels good in the hand. I think the first thing to say, and probably the sort of headline for me is, the days where you either had everything or it looked good, now you can have both. Talk a little bit about Windows Mobile and the growth of this fantastic operating system for mobile devices. The first thing is 18 million licenses sold in our last financial year. Our financial year ends in June. Our growth is roughly twice that of the overall market, so we grew from 11 million licenses the year before. So a phenomenal rate of growth. We are operating 160 different mobile operators around the world. We have all 5 of the network operators in the UK shipping Windows Mobile. We also have a couple of MVNOs shipping Windows Mobile. So, hugely available right across the world. There really isn't a country anymore that is not shipping this operating system. We now, as a business, operate in about 120 countries. The applications available, about 18,000 applications available. And a lot of those are developed in the .NET infrastructure, which is obviously Microsoft's favourite infrastructure, which means you can develop your applications on a laptop or in a server environment and apply them to mobile. It's a fantastic advantage for businesses who are deploying their applications often onto laptops or onto servers and then extending them out into their mobile platform. To be able to do all of that within the same architecture and the same management tools is very, very important for them. So, just to sort of show how the extent to which we dominate the European platform market, this is Gartner data. Basically, it just shows that that enterprises out there who are deploying mobile platforms are by and large deploying the Microsoft mobile platform. So we're the clear winner in enterprise. And if you talk to, and I personally talk a great deal to IT directors in enterprises, and they absolutely favour the Microsoft solution. One management alternative, one platform, .NET architecture, roll out those applications very, very easily, and we have additional tools coming into market, things like the System Center Mobile Device Manager, which enables them to manage that portfolio of devices very, very easily. So great for business. Integrates with IT. Obviously, it mobilises employee email, their calendar, their contacts, their tasks, and so forth in the enterprise. Very familiar applications, means that basically there's no retraining required, everything looks and feels the same. You can also do things like send a Word document to a mobile device, open it, edit it, send it back to the person who sent it to you, and it will still keep all its formatting. Same with an Excel spreadsheet. Still keep the in bold, the typos, everything. And you can send it on many, many round trips through mobile and laptop and everything else. Keeps its formatting right throughout the process. Quite important for people. An extremely secure solution. This solution is now approved by CESG, which is the government approval for secure applications. So a word, sort of complicated slide. I'm going to try and sort of talk you through what it means. Basically, at one end, you have a device. At the other end, you have an Exchange server, which stores the company's email. Exchange being the absolutely dominant email server technology in the UK. So the first thing is there's no middleware mail server. Okay, this bit you don't need. The little arrow goes around it. You don't need that with Windows Mobile. So with other alternative solutions where they have multiple intermediates middleware that actually manages the process of toing and throwing the email, you don't need that with the Microsoft solution. That reduces cost, total cost of ownership, TCO, and that reduces also the complexity. Less to go wrong. Goes through the enterprise firewall, of course, to manage security, and then there's no third-party NOC. A NOC is a network operations center. What a NOC does is a physical location that, for example, mobile operators use to manage their portfolio of devices. With our alternative, You do not need the kind of knock that, say, a RIM device requires. Okay? No knock, that means you're not paying for a knock. Available applications, you've got 18,000 applications available. You don't need third-party servers to manage that. You can manage that through your existing .NET infrastructure. No third-party headaches. Everything is simple. It's not some version of the software that sort of is similar to what you're using in your desktop environment. It's the same. It's Office, it's Word, it's Excel. It's the same. It's Outlook, it's the same. That means that, as I say, every round trip, that means it looks and feels the same. And then it gets to your device. So with our solution, Exchange server, through the firewall, to the device. Simple as that. You're not having to pay for those additional servers. In particular, when you look at the Bez server, the BlackBerry alternative, the way that works, to manage 10,000 devices would require 8 Bez servers. Microsoft manages over 30,000 mobile devices worldwide on 2 Exchange servers and no middleware, and that includes the entire laptop population as well. So just to give you some perspective on that, that makes a great deal of difference to a large enterprise, a massive difference in terms of money. The strategic partnership with Palm is very important to Microsoft. This is the latest in a long line, and obviously it's got these very powerful capabilities that we talked about, and as I say, very importantly, it also looks cool. That's really important for members of staff in a company. They really want it to look good. They don't want it to look like a brick. This looks cool. Tailored to the specific business needs, absolutely international, quad band, as Phil said, which means that you can go anywhere around the world, and I travel a lot, I'm sure a lot of you do. Get the phone out and it'll just fire up and run. And of course, these are brands which businesses are very used to and very adapted to using. And that, I think, takes us to the Q&A.